Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, April 8th. I hope that you all are having a good week. We are officially halfway through our week since we don't have school on Friday. So I hope that you've been getting all of your work done so far this week, and I hope that you also had a chance to enjoy the nice weather. As you can see, the nice weather has left us. Unfortunately, it's very gray. It looks like it's raining a little bit, so kind of unfortunate, but before we know it, summer will be here, so we'll be able to enjoy lots of nice weather then. We have a little bit of a different lesson today. I'm not going to be reading today because we've done a lot of reading this week. Chapter 9 and Chapter 10 were very long, important chapters, so I want us to have time to just kind of soak those in and do an activity about those. So today we're actually going to be trying our first virtual essay. It is a narrative, which I think most of you find to be the easiest type of essay, and it just has to be 3 paragraphs, so 15 sentences. If you want to be an overachiever and do 5 paragraphs and 25 sentences, then that's great too. But I don't want you guys to hear essay and freak out. So I'm going to get into more of those details in just a couple minutes, but first we need to do our do now and our notes. So please grab your notebook. If you don't have a notebook, grab a piece of paper that you're going to keep in a safe place, and grab a pencil or something to write with. You can pause the video if you don't have that ready. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Our word today is perpetual. Perpetual means continuing forever or for a very long time without stopping. Our example sentence that we read this week in the book is, "It did not seem like evening. I realized suddenly, but more like a perpetual sunset." So Moonshadow says this when they are at Golden Gate Park. That's where everyone in San Francisco went when they lost their homes. And the sky in San Francisco looked like a perpetual sunset, a never-ending sunset, and that's because sunsets are typically orange and red, and the sky in San Francisco is orange and red from the fires. So it wasn't actually a perpetual sunset or a never-ending sunset. It was actually the fires that seemed perpetual. Make sure you are also writing your own sentence. You can pause this video to continue. Awesome. So, Ms. Cromartie and I had changed the teacher notes for today when we realized that we wanted to do a writing assignment. So, I have those handwritten, so I hope that y'all can read them. I tried my best to be nice and neat. So these are your notes for today, and I'll go up after I'm done reading the first couple. So when you're writing a narrative, you want to make sure that you first know what point of view or POV to be writing from. So for today's narrative, you're going to be writing from the point of view of Windrider. Second, you want to know your setting. So you want to know when and where the story is happening or taking place. So in your narrative, Winrider is going to be leaving San Francisco in the early 1900s. And we don't know where he's going yet. That's up to you to decide in your narrative. So in your narrative, you should definitely mention San Francisco and wherever you think Winrider is going next. Number 3, stick to the plot. Don't make up completely random stuff that didn't happen in the text. You want to focus on what actually happened in the text and then make inferences or educated guesses about what you think is going to happen next. So, not sticking to the plot would look like Winrider leaves the company and opens up his own McDonald's franchise. That doesn't make sense to the plot so far in the book because McDonald's has never been mentioned once. We don't know if they even know what McDonald's is. And that's not Winrider's dream. What he does next should have to do with his dream. So sticking to the plot would look something like Winrider found a way to move across the country and work with the Wright brothers, who flew the first airplane. That would make sense because the Wright brothers have been mentioned many times in our book. Winrider has talked to the Wright brothers via letter, so that wouldn't be a complete shock. Number 4, text details. So you want to use actual details that already happened in the text. So when you start your narrative, you should pick up where the book left off. So with the narrative that we're doing today, you're going to be picking up with that really difficult conversation that Winrider and Uncle Brightstar had at the end of chapter 10. So you might use some of the details from that conversation, or you might use some of the dialogue from that conversation so that we know where your narrative is picking up. Now, when you add your own text details, you want to make sure that you are being descriptive and specific. So I shouldn't have to wonder what you mean about anything. Your text details should be so descriptive or so specific that I know exactly what you're talking about. And lastly, number 5 is dialogue. So dialogue is what the characters say to each other. It's those sentences that are in quotation marks. So again, you could start your narrative with some of that dialogue between Winrider and Uncle Brightstar at the end of chapter 10. And then you also want to try to add new dialogue to your narrative. So Moonshadow is the only character going with Winrider wherever he's going. So I would recommend having some dialogue between Winrider and Moonshadow. And it shouldn't just be small talk, like, hey, good morning, want breakfast? No, that's not meaningful dialogue. You should have dialogue about the important parts of the plot. So maybe Moonshadow's asking Dad where they're going. Or maybe Dad is reassuring Moonshadow that everything will be okay even though they no longer are with the company. You can pause this video if you're not finished. Awesome. So, in addition to those teacher notes, I've attached on this assignment a reference sheet with some questions that you can ask yourself about point of view, about setting, about dialogue, if you start to get stuck while you're writing. So you should have that reference sheet open when you start writing. and those questions should be able to help you if you get stuck. That being said, now we're going to go over the actual assignment. So if you have not already opened the assignment, go ahead and do so. It is titled 4/8/2020 Narrative Activity. So go ahead and open that. All right, everyone should have that open at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and read the directions and give you any other information that you may need. So it says narrative activity, leaving the company. Directions. After Windrider tells Uncle that he would like to pursue his dream of flying, both Windrider and Moonshadow are told to leave the company. They are heartbroken about leaving the men who have become their family, and now their future is uncertain. Write a narrative. This could be a letter, a story, or a journal entry from Windrider's point of view after the end of Chapter 10. Be sure to include the following: Windrider's concerns and or fears about no longer having the company's support, plans for what they will do next in pursuit of Windrider's dream to fly, how Windrider thinks Moonshadow feels about leaving the company, and last but not least, your narrative must be 3 to 5 paragraphs. That means a minimum of 15 sentences and a maximum of 25 sentences. So, that being said, Ms. Cromartie and I know that this is your first essay or writing assignment since we've been virtually teaching and learning. So if you have any questions, we both will be on our phones and computers all day long. And although we know that most of you could probably get this done in one day, we're going to give you both today and tomorrow. So you will not have a new assignment tomorrow, Thursday. So this will be due Thursday night by midnight. So same time that your homework is due. So that should give you plenty of time to ask any questions you need to ask or get any help that you need to get. But again, a narrative is definitely the easiest type of essay. So we think that you all will do a great job with it. Before I log off, I want to mention a couple announcements. Number one, I just said it, but as a reminder, homework is due tomorrow at midnight because Friday is Good Friday, which is a Christian holiday. So we are not allowed to give any schoolwork on Friday. So please make sure that you get your homework done by tomorrow night at midnight. Second, a lot of people still have not been showing up to my 1 o'clock small group. I know that does not apply to everyone, but if you were one of the students that I invited, you have gotten multiple emails and Google Classroom invites by now. So I will be calling families today to let them know that you have not joined my small group because many of you who have not joined still are not doing your work to the best of your ability. So that needs to change starting today. You should have noticed that Ms. Cromartie and I have been putting grades in both Google Classroom and Aspen over the past week. If you got a grade that you are not happy with, the good thing is because we are virtual teaching and learning, you are able to correct anything that you got wrong and get a better grade. So I know that math has been doing that pretty much all year. ELA is a little different because, we're not doing math problems and there's not always a right or a wrong answer. But for example, on one of the worksheets from last week, I had given you guys some of the answers, and some of you still had the wrong answers written down. So I did not give you credit if you had those ones wrong, because you all should be watching these videos every day to see me model how to answer those questions, and I usually give you 1 or 2 answers. So make sure you are watching these videos all the way through every day. I know that sometimes the videos are long, like for example yesterday and Monday, because I had to read a whole chapter. But you don't need to just be like sitting down like I am right now, just staring at the computer. You could be eating breakfast while you're listening, or eating lunch while you're listening, or doing the dishes while you're listening. I know that all of you have other things going on at home. You have other subjects of work to do. So I know that when the videos are long, it's difficult for you to be able to sit down and listen to the whole thing. And that's not what I'm expecting of you. I'm expecting you to listen to the whole thing, but you don't have to be like sitting down uber focused on it. You can be doing other things while you're listening to me read. And then when you get to the parts where I start to model the worksheet or explain the directions or do some of the questions for you, that's when you should be like sitting down and super focused, because those are the parts that you really don't want to miss. We are very close to the end of our book, so bear with me. Most of you have been doing a fabulous job getting this work done independently. Many of you have been doing a fabulous job reaching out to Ms. Cromartie or I via Google Classroom or email or call or text to get help. I appreciate all of you who are doing those things. When we are done with the book, the type of work that we'll be doing will change and will probably be a little bit easier. So stay strong over the next week or 2 when we're finishing the book. You're doing a great job. We know that most of you are doing your best, and that's all that we can ask for. That being said, I think that's all of my announcements for today, and look at that, it's only a 18-minute video today. So feel free, or please reach out with questions about this narrative, but I know you're all going to rock it. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.